Hey everybody, how's it going? Marcos Viegas here in Arizona, being joined with Eddie Hearn and Eddie. Ramon and Gallo, part 3. Yeah. I was there for the first one. The second one I saw on TV, but common theme is war, like between these two guys, and very, very close fights. Speaking with both of them and seeing them, what do you think makes the difference this time around for this one?
It's humble war, isn't it? It's quite weird that, like, there's no point trying to get any beef out of them. It's just two guys who respect each other, that have paid their dues in the sport, two legends of the sport. And, like, as a promoter, you talk up potential great fighters. And you always hope they're going to deliver, but with this one, you just know it's going to deliver. I think that coming on the plane this week, I felt that Chocolatito was a decent-sized favourite in this fight because of his recent performances. But I've got to say, Estrada looks very good, healthy, and seems quite confident. I mean, he's actually calling the knockout for this fight. I don't see a knockout in this fight. I think it'll be another 12-round war, but I think it's going to be a very close fight. Rahman just seems to be getting better and better, but can you keep up those level of performances, at this stage in your career? And I think you're going to get another classic.
I think the COVID, that's when I said the COVID, yeah. But I think Gallo getting COVID before that second fight and him battling with the symptoms might have affected him a lot in that second fight, even though he did pretty well, but he told me that wasn't him.
Yeah, I think that, you're always going to get elite performances from these guys. Last time out, Estrada didn't look amazing against Cortez, but he knew he was he was going to start his training camp 2 weeks after that fight. So how deep do you want to go in that fight? And I think that COVID, can really affect you in terms of your health and your fitness. And like I said, he looks really healthy. They both do, but just saw a little twinkle in his eye at the presser. Still think Chocolatito's the favourite, but I think it's going to be very, very close.
The future for either or like where do they go with the win or loss, and how do you kind of want to match them up?
I don't know. I think at this stage in their career, you wait for both guys, particularly Chocolatito, to kind of go, that's me now, But very difficult when you see someone really improving. Like when I made Chocolatito against Cal Yafai, I thought great timing for Cal. And he sort of come back there, won the world title, beat Julio Cesar Martinez. I felt like he beat Estrada in the second fight, very close. But it looks better and better. So I don't think you don't really have a plan for those guys at this stage in their career. I think you're going to see a lot of fighters moving up and down. I still like Jesse Rodriguez against the winner, but obviously he's coming down to 112 to fight for the world title. If Estrada wins, I think the fight with Julio Cesar Martinez is a very good fight as well. So big fights, but I think it's just all eyes on the trilogy.
I mentioned that because I think they're like the generation that came up, and we were lucky to have them because there was 4 of them. Rungvisai, Quadras, and these two, Gallo and Rahman. But now with Bam coming up, we're starting to see like the new generation kind of start poking their heads, and it just made me wonder, like, for how much longer are they going to be around?
I guess while they're elite and while they're beating everyone, it's just a personal decision, isn't it? A family decision to say, I'm done in boxing. But I think we've seen a lot of interviews lately from fighters who talk about how difficult it is to leave the sport. Like when you're okay, like if you start getting beat, if you start declining, then obviously it's a different kind of decision. But you see fighters like, Tyson Fury's talked a lot about how, I don't know what I'll do without the sport. Kell Brook just said then, and maybe Chocolatito feels the same. I love the sport, I love to fight, and I feel like I'm still the best. But at some point, you will want to step down, and it's always good to step down as the best.
You want to get out at the right time with no damage, obviously, because like you mentioned, I think, we've seen it like time and time again throughout history. Like boxers have a hard time leaving the sport because they feel lost, because that's their identity and they don't have anything else to do. And that's why a lot of them stick around for as long as they do stick around. Eddie, I want to switch topics now. The whole Canelo and Messi thing, I just want to get your comments. It kind of came out of left field, man.
I ended up getting asked by all our national media about that, and I was like, I think just that Canelo's very passionate about Mexico, and obviously he reacted quite unlike him, really, but he's the kind of guy, he's really going to speak his mind. He doesn't care what people think of him. He wants to be respected, of course, like everybody, but he's going to tell you and speak from his heart. So he spoke from his heart, and then pretty impressive for him 24 hours later to hold his hands up and gone, did overreact, sorry. But, that's a sign of the man, really. He's an honest guy, and just very passionate about his country.
Did you have a chance to talk to him about it?
No. No, I didn't.
Talk to Eddie about it?
After I saw it, I didn't want to get involved. No, I just think there's certain things that you don't really mess with. When Sal's in that kind of mood, he's very, he's very fiery. He's very passionate. He's very loyal to his country. You don't go. I'll leave him to it. But the fact that he turned around and said, like, "I'm sorry, I did overreact," it's pretty cool of him, because most people would have been too stubborn and gone, "Okay, I'm not apologising." But he, so respect to him.
Yeah, usually people double down and they're like, "Hey, I already dug the hole. Like, I'm not getting out of it." You saw the video, right? Yeah. He was taking his boot off.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. You're like,
Yeah.
Speaking of a man, how are you targeting this next fight? He did a media thing a few weeks back saying that he wants to test a hand out. He didn't call it an easy fight, but he called it a fight where he wants to test a hand out in May. I know there might be a potential name already out there in Ryder. Is that the case, and where would that fight be?
John Ryder just won the interim world title with the WBO. He's the official mandatory for Canelo Alvarez. It's a fight that we could stage in London, which would be amazing to bring Sal to London. It's a fight we could stage in Mexico, which again would be amazing. Do it in Vegas, do it in LA. It's really up to Eddie Reynoso and Sal. I think if they want that interim fight, if you like, that's a great fight for them. And John Ryder's earned his shot. He's beaten Daniel Jacobs. He's beaten Zach Parker. He's mandatory. So we'll see what happens this week when we chat to Eddie.
It's going to happen in May, though, right? That's the target?
Yeah, I mean, Again, I haven't had the conversations to say, is that the date you want? But notoriously, that would be the date, particularly obviously if it was in Mexico or America.
So what's the more likely you feel place it does take place in?
I mean, again, at this stage, it's about presenting Sal and Eddie Reynoso with the offers and the numbers for that fight. And then the numbers change pending on where it is. Obviously, if you're doing it in Vegas, it's more money than doing it in Mexico or London. But I do believe that will appeal to Sal fighting internationally, and it would be pretty cool, either of those venues. But he's a global star and he can fight wherever he wants.
World title fight. This is an authentic crossroads fight for these two. Velasquez coming away victorious in his last fight back in May on the Canelo Bivol undercard. There you see our co-feature coming up. 12 rounds for Julio Cesar Martinez's WBC flyweight title, taking on Samuel Carmona. 8-0 with 4 knockouts to his name, Spanish Olympian. Martinez, meanwhile, 18-2, 14 knockouts. We are eager to see what Martinez has learned from getting in the ring with Chocolatito back in March. Remember, he stepped into the ring with Gonzalez on short notice, stepped up the weight class as well. He said he was in full good spirits and ready to take what he learned in the ring with a legend like Chocolatito, reapply it to this fight here this Saturday. And then the main event, Juan Francisco Estrada, Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez for the third time. Estrada 43-3 with 28 knockouts. Chocolatito 51-3, 41 career KOs. Estrada, the reigning linear super flyweight champ. Chocolatito trying to become a 3-time finalist. Titleist, that is, at 115 pounds. Each fighter celebrated throughout this press conference, throughout this week, the build-up. It is finally here. The trilogy is Saturday night on DAZN.